Tension is rising in South Africa as General Nalendla Mkhwanazi and Julius Malema face off in one of the most informative question and answer sessions in recent memory. What started as a straightforward discussion quickly turned into a powerful exchange on crime, policing, leadership, and accountability. Both men defended their positions with confidence, challenging each other's views while addressing issues that affect millions of South Africans. Before we continue in today's story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on your notification button for more updates.
We're starting.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
She had a good voice. I was going to sing for her, so I'm challenged. I don't know how to sing. I know how to chant. Thank you very much, General, and the chairperson. General, I just want to ask if you know, or maybe let me put it differently. What interested you into joining the police?
When I grew up in the township of Ashdown in Pietermaritzburg, I witnessed at the time the IFP and ANC were in loggerheads in the same township. When I started witnessing how people have been killed and nothing happens, and people, some of them that I knew, it is part of the thing that drove me to say, what can I do to assist in this regard? So that's what influenced me to join the police. And I must say, Honorable Member, when I joined, it was exactly that I needed to fight the criminals. That's why I chose the career that I chose in the service. That I'm not going to join the police station to go and be a court orderly. No, that's not what I want. I want to be there on the ground and deal with action.
The conversation has sparked intense debate online, with supporters from both sides praising their performances and weighing in on the key points raised. Was this a genuine search for solutions or just another political showdown? Watch the full exchange and decide for yourself. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.
Then you went to the college, and then from the college?
When I trained in Pretoria College, and from there I went to Potchefstroom, the Public Order Police Unit in Potchefstroom. At the time, you couldn't choose where to go. The only option was to become a detective or you become a uniform branch. And because I wanted to be on the field, they said to me, then the highly trained unit that you must go to is internal stability unit. Maybe that's the right word to use at the time. In June 1993, when I joined, it was called Internal Stability Unit, but it then later changed the name to Public Order Police.
And then how do you arrive at the task force?
I became aware of the special task force. When I joined the police, the Internal Stability Unit used to wear camouflage. The camouflage I was wearing on the 6th of July. When the amalgamation happened and the camouflage was stopped from POP, it was directed that POP must be issued with the uniform that the shirt looks the same as pants. It was introduced there, that shirt. Usually it used to be a light blue shirt and a gray pants. But POP was introduced with the same type of color and to stop wearing camouflage. So we did not wear camouflage. And then an unfortunate incident happened in the area called Shoba in Potchefstroom, where the African National Congress had won the elections in 1994. And the few members of the IFP, few members of the ANC that are located within the village of IFP started celebrating that victory. They erected their flag, the ANC flag, to celebrate the victory of the African National Congress. And I happened to be there and I warned them. I said, you are calling for trouble. You're in the middle of the ocean. You're an island. You can't be raising up this flag and celebrating, whereas your neighbors are not happy with the fact that they were defeated. And then it so happened that shortly after that, those people were attacked by IFP. They were killed. And after the murder happened, the leadership of the police brought the investigation team from the national office to come to Potchefstroom. And that investigation team was accompanied by task force. So it was the first time I see people in camouflage that we are no longer wearing. So when I saw them there, I asked them, but who are you? Because we don't wear this uniform anymore. Then they said, no, they're a special task force. So I asked him, what do you do a special task force? They started explaining to me. That's how I first learned about the task force. So it was exciting for me because I always wanted to be in such an environment and I never knew about it. And fast forward, I took a transfer to Durban. When I arrived in Durban, the current command of the task force in Durban, Kelen Yao, was there, the unit, and I saw him and I engaged with him and he said, no, they recently decentralized the task force to Durban. And then he gave me the video of what the task force does. I went to see it and I watched the video and I realized, okay, no, this is troublesome. And then I was excited and I joined it.
So it's safe, it's safe for me to call you a career policeman.
Yeah, well, we can call me that I've been pursuing different areas in the police all my life until now.
Are you aware of something called deployment cadres?
No, we don't do that in the police. We don't use the cadres names.
No, I'm saying, are you aware of the policy of a deployment cadres?
I always hear from the ruling party talking about deployment cadres.
You are not a product of a deployment cadre policy. You are a career policeman.
Yeah, no, I'm a career policeman, unfortunately.
Those deployed cadres that came into SAPS who had no career in the police. Some claim to fame, they're from exile, they were underground, they were this, they were that. Do you think they helped to improve the policing in this country, or they deteriorated to where we find it today?
Yeah, I think the latter part is more appropriate. I think with this amalgamation and the presence of people who did not grow up in the police, the first thing that I think created a problem was to undermine the discipline culture of the police. That we don't use that culture. The word comrade was introduced at the time, with the police officers, a constable started calling it a captain comrade, which was foreign to the police. So the moment they started addressing each other like that, it just made the situation worse. The situation became worse after the ANC Polokwane conference in 2007, because while you were there in a conference, when the former deputy president, who became a president later, was fired, that's where we started seeing the real division, because he gets fired and the police that's supposed to protect the former deputy president at the time started not getting favors or support from their commanders in Pretoria. And the former president will travel with his members in an armored vehicle where the windows don't open in the 35 degrees heat, and the aircon won't be working. And they will be traveling London bread of KZN, and they'll be calling their commanders for a better vehicle, and they will be told that man is not a president, so he must drive in that heat. So the members started experiencing that. So the members within that space started getting conditioned into politics themselves, because then they favor this one who's now not treated bad. Fast forward to that, we then have a conference in Polokwane. The police management goes there, but they don't go there to police the African National Congress conference. They are going there to erect their own marquee tent on the side with alcohol and everything else to celebrate the victory that was coming. And the unfortunate part happened is that the deputy president who was fired won that election in Polokwane. And the return of the leadership back to Pretoria changed everything in the police, because we started getting a recruitment to join political parties within the police premises in Pretoria, within the protection services in the main. The division of the police got affected the most is the PSS that protects the VIPs. The members were recruited to join COPE as a political party by police generals in the police premises. So that was just the beginning of the downfall of what followed thereafter. So you then start hearing senior officers in the police started calling comrades, comrade. And it became the terminology used throughout. I think that amalgamation and the presence of the people that regarded themselves as politicians was the downfall of the discipline of the organization.
And that road went even worse in the crime intelligence.
Yeah, well, the members of crime intelligence might not necessarily have been politicians per se that are involved in the road, but the leadership that arrived at crime intelligence were comrades. As I said earlier, you arrive in, you are an executive member, you're a senior member, you find people know the system inside who are junior, and they capture you. They manipulate you. They make you live a comfortable life, and you are happy with that, but you don't pay attention on what they are doing in the bottom. So that's exactly what happened there. Yes, the leadership might have been from the political party coming to crime intelligence, but their intention was not the bad intentions. But when they arrived, they found these resources within crime intelligence that make available to them. And they took those resources and these resources made their life comfortable. And it just became a culture without realizing that these members that are making this life comfortable, they are actually causing more damage internal. So when these leadership are moving, and anyone that comes as the leader, they want to capture the person. And this one goes and other one comes in, they want to capture. It became a culture. And I must say, the culture that developed might not necessarily be a political culture, but the greed and members within the service that started getting involved in business and started getting interested in money. They might not necessarily be politicians themselves. They were pure police officers. But because they knew how the system works and they saw these sinners that don't know the system, and then they started manipulating it. So both ways, then you could blame the senior police officers, although junior, as well as those ones that came from outside the organization.
But in the body of, I hear the leadership, in the body of the crime intelligence, were there no cadres who were claiming to come from Bokoto, in the ANC underground intelligence and all of that, who joined the intelligence, not as leadership, but as operatives?
Yeah, they
now get involved in these covert operations, but they don't have necessarily the skill or qualifications as career policemen.
Sure, there's a lot of them that arrive like that. There was a lot of them. We've had a system that we're trying to work with in the police of the former non-statutory force members that needed to be rewarded in some degree within the service that were employed in. So they arrive at different levels. Some of them were constables, sergeants, and up the ranks. The others that came on the senior level, but others grew within the service.
So how do you become now the acting national commissioner?
I don't know whether I should thank my grandmother, wherever she is, because I was sleeping, and I was going to wake up in the next morning to travel with the National Commission of Police to visit Mpumalanga province. When I get a phone call from the General Ladla, who was in charge of the presidential team, and he says to me that the minister wants to see me in the morning. I did not know the reason for that call. I then had to phone the chief of staff at the office, actually spokesperson of the Minister of Police at the time, who was a spokesperson. That general was a spokesperson of the National Commission, Gerald Cries, because he was the National Commission of the Police. I phoned her and I told her, say, we're supposed to be traveling in the morning with a police jet to Mpumalanga. I've been called by the minister, so I'm no longer traveling. I don't know what he wants. But ordinarily, because I'm from the Special Task Force at the time, and I'm in charge of the component that deals with Special Task Force and all these high-risk operations, from time to time, if the presidential team have got some risks that they've identified somewhere, they always call on us to come and provide that technical support on them. I thought maybe there's something that might be a threat, either with the president, team, or somewhere that the minister wanted to talk about. I arrive in his house and he says to me, the president wanted to see me, so I must go and meet the president. I went to the president and the president says, I've now taken a decision to appoint you as acting national commissioner because we are suspending Gerald Cries based on that procurement of that building in Pretoria. So it came as a shock. And that was that. That's how I was appointed.
Who's the president at that time?
President Zuma.
Who's the minister?
Minister Mteto, Nathi Mteto, the late.
And then how do you leave that position of acting?
And ceremoniously so, because I was frustrated with the role that the minister was playing over time. And I felt that I cannot be able to work within the political space in this fashion. If this is how the people operate or occupying these positions supposed to interact with executive authority, I'm not willing to take instructions of this nature because they are not right. They are wrong. They are encroaching into the management responsibility of the police commission, of the national commissioner. Maybe I must talk about the experience that also I had learned prior to that. Mkhwanazi is the only general in the South African Police Service that was ever appointed by the panel of ministers in the history since we started in 95 to date. I said the act only allows a minister to appoint the national head, nobody else. But the Mkhwanazi's post panel was presided over by the late Minister Mthethwa, and I don't know who are the panel members that were part of it. The person who was the acting national commissioner at the time, Commissioner Williams, was excluded from the process. Mkhwanazi then gets appointed. So which then Mkhwanazi, there was the intention of getting Mkhwanazi at crime intelligence by all means. For what good reason and what experience did Mkhwanazi had at the time? From my assessment, I realized there was other reasons other than his competency to do the job that made him to be rewarded by being given a crime intelligence post by the minister at the time. So fast forward to that. When there is these disciplinary steps taken against Mkhwanazi, the ministers want to intervene and say, you can't do this and that. You can't discipline a man. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. The minister. So we then confirmed that he brought him into the organization because it was a reward for him to come in there. And so that conflict and having assessed these things, and I must say, Honorable Chair and members, I did not know about the Guptas before until Sheraton Hotel in Pretoria, when I was invited to meet these gentlemen by the late minister who says, do not use City Press and Sunday Times to advertise. We always advertise posts on those newspapers because they've got a big footprint in the country. We're looking for something, we advertise on those newspapers. And the minister says, don't use those papers because they're not helping, they don't want to transform and so forth. Use New Age. Yeah, well, I thought, okay, maybe we need to rotate papers, maybe New Age must have an opportunity. I didn't even know what is New Age. Then I went to the office. When I presented this into the management, they said to me, you know who owns New Age? I said, no, who owns it? They say the Guptas. I said, okay, so what is wrong at the time? Remember, I'm coming from operations side. I don't even know what this Guptas about. They said, no, these ones are implicated politically in this fashion and that fashion. Besides, they don't have the footprint equal to what the Sunday Times and City Press has. So if we advertise through them, a lot of people are not going to get information anyway, because they don't supply their papers across the land and breadth of the country. So that's how I got to expose. So taking those and adding them together, then I realized I'm in deep in a political space here, and I'm not comfortable with this, and I cannot take it. I'm either going to fight with the minister, which is going to end ugly. Let me tell the president that this is not what I signed for. So it's either the president allows the minister to do what he does, or he let me go and go back to the operations and chase criminals. So that's how the president decided he's going to bring someone, and then Jarpiaga came. And indeed, I were to sit at home for a year without doing anything.
Now, when the minister communicates to you not to continue with cases against Mkhwanazi, how does he do that? Does he write a letter? Does he call a meeting? How does he communicate that? Please stop cases against Mkhwanazi.
Yeah, he called me into a meeting in his residence, and it is in his residence where he was in company of the Inspector General of Intelligence, Advocate Khabde, the late, where he says to me that the advocate was telling him that I forced her, that she must recommend that Mkhwanazi be charged. That's where we had a debate, because I did not force her. And I told the minister, if you want me to do what you say I must do, put it in black and white. And they did not want to put in black and white. Instead, he instructed Inspector General to put it in black and white, so that I use Inspector General's recommendations for me not to charge Mkhwanazi. That is on a disciplinary part. But on the criminal part, it was not the minister directly, but it was Advocate Mkhwanazi from the NPA. I hope the members have got Advocate Bredenbach, who's an MP here, who's a member of this committee. Perhaps she must come and sit here and talk to ad hoc committee and explain what was her role on that case, because I understand that she was the one who was holding that criminal case against Mkhwanazi, where she was instructed, from what I was told, to withdraw that case from court. That had already said. So why did she then comply with that instruction? I have no clue.
Now, when you communicate to the president that we're engaged in some illegal activity here, which I didn't sign up for, how do you communicate that to the president? Because the president would have ordinarily asked for something in a written form. What did they say to you? Or did you write to the president? How did you communicate this to the president, that there's something going on, which is not up to what we are expected to do as police?
It is unfortunate that I did not write to him. I went there in person. So I had a one-on-one engagement with the president about it. And you're correct, honorable member, would have expected the president to conduct some investigation on this thing, but the president didn't. He simply said, okay, if you're having issues with the minister, just give me time. I'm going to appoint someone else to take over from you. And that was the end of the meeting.
And that's President Zuma we're talking about?
That's correct.
We did not do anything about this matter when you communicated to him that we have been invited into doing wrong things?
Yeah, no, they didn't do anything about it.
Now, why do they put you at home after releasing you? They went to fetch you from your position, ask you to come and act, and then when you say, I can't be part of a criminal syndicate, you are sent home. What do they communicate to you around that time? What is the reason of you staying at home?
Honorable members, when I had met with the minister, I called the entire top management of the SAPS and I told them what transpired in the minister's residence. And I told them that they must prepare themselves, that they are all going to be fired and they're going to be victimized, because whoever is going to come in is going to come with a mandate that perhaps will say they must get rid of everyone. Some of the senior managers took me serious, others did not take me serious. But because I was prepared for that, indeed that will happen. Maybe Gerald Pierre must come here and explain why she did not allocate me a post for that long and allow me to sit at home and draw a salary every month. See, she will have to come and explain that, because she was the boss. She's the one who's going to have to come and explain that despite my experience, as I've displayed here, that she will choose to appoint junior people to go and act in positions that they did not have much of experience of, whereas I'm sitting at home. There was a person who was a non-trained police officer. With respect, she joined the police and she's heading our training currently. She was deployed as a head of crime intelligence at one stage by Gerald Pierre.
Will I be correct that you were actually being punished for being disciplined?
I believe so. I believe so, honorable member, because it did not only end there. It was not only about sitting at home. It was sitting at home and state security, crime intelligence, deploy counterintelligence against Mkhwanazi, against Khumalo, against Masimolo. So we were not just kept at home, but we've been monitored 24/7.
General, you know, you speak interestingly about 2011, especially in relation to crime intelligence. What was happening in 2011? Because some of us for sure were very young, we can't remember properly. What was happening in 2011? Because you keep on referring to 2011, and we're trying to imagine what really happened in the crime intelligence in 2011, which you see it now and gives you those flashbacks of what happened in 2011.
I said, honorable members, I wouldn't want us to maybe go too deep back, but many things were pronounced, ventilated at the Zondo Commission about intelligence, things that were happening. I will invite you to go and read that report again. But at crime intelligence at the time, what was dominating the media space was the looting of the secret fund account in such a manner that it ended up getting a name of slush fund. Majority of the citizens know it as slush fund. It's not a slush fund. It's a secret service account. But because it was misused to that extent, it then became a slush fund. That's what was dominating the media space in 2011 when I came in, which was a sore point within crime intelligence.
But I'll also invite you to go and check my YouTube at that time where I said, when you speak on the phone, you must first greet General Mkhwanazi before you speak to the person you're speaking about, because they were known for illegal interceptions at that time. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. That's why Gerald Cries himself, as initial commissioner at that time, fell victim of the same thing.
Now, you now are back, you're appointed. I know you went acting, came back, and then you appointed a provincial commissioner in KZN. How does that happen now? And what is the minister's position in relation to that? Did you object to your appointment or anything of that sort? Or there was consensus that you must go to KZN?
You talk about 2021?
No, when you became full-time, yeah, not
Yeah.
acting.
Look, when I approached the National Commissioner in December, there were delays. I met with the minister because he needed to be consulted. Minister Cries at that time did not want me to leave the head office. He wanted me to remain at the head office. And he felt that maybe my expertise would be wasted if I go to the province. I'm better off to assist at the national level. But I pleaded with him that I needed a new challenge. So it took that long until March. That is when I think they started engaging with the executive in the province, where the agreement was reached, and then I was informed that I can go and start in April. So starting from December until March, it was there was a long time of discussions. At that time, the provincial commissioner had left, and there was someone acting, and so I came in to take over from someone who was already acting at the time. My aim was to be appointed before the provincial commissioner leaves, so that we can do the handing over, which is something I did when he came in 2019. When he came in, I sat with him for about a week doing handing over before I went back to Pretoria. I wanted to do the same thing when I was going in, but because of that delays, he ended up leaving without doing that handing over.
When is your contract coming to an end?
My contract is ending at the end of March 2026.
Is there any discussion about renewing a contract, or everybody just went that quiet about it?
No, there's no discussion. The discussion, according to the rules, can only start 4 months before. So we're not there yet.
We're not yet there.
No, we're not there yet.
Okay. Now, General, the political killing task team, according to your explanation, I don't know if they were calling it PKTT at the time when Balula was saying, we need to do something with the killings of councillors and all of that in the province. And they were assembling of a team that was working on that before 2018. So before the president made that pronouncement in Maritzburg, what was that called?
It was not a team, honorable member, because you had a prioritization of the investigation on cases that involved politicians. That's what was done. But they identified a detective per police station, per district, to take those dockets. If there's a politician killed, it must be given to the detectives. But that detective was taking those dockets on top of other dockets that the detective has. So if you have a murder of someone somewhere and so forth, we have other 10 murder dockets that you must investigate. Then we have this additional one of the politician. The prioritization of the detective to investigate will be equal amongst all these dockets that he has in front of them. And a matter of fact, you might prioritize a matter of a 80-year-old woman before you prioritize a matter of a councillor of 30 years old. So then there was no prioritization in terms of investigation by the team. But it was not, correction, not the team, but those detectives that we identified, they were scattered all over. So they were not working as a team.
And the president then announces at Maritzburg in an ANC event, the councillor who was killed of the ANC, he has gone there in his capacity as the president of the ANC and makes pronouncement about government on how we are going to intervene.
That's correct.
And I heard you saying, wanting to differentiate between the executive authority and the politician. When does the other one take leave when the other one takes over? Because it's one person.
They're interchangeable. And that's a dilemma that we face, honorable member. I'm glad you're asking that question, because the members are going to claim overtime for protecting the executive member, whereas the executive member is on a campaign, political campaign, and addressing these political parties and the likes, using the state vehicle, using the state petrol, and using state protection. And we have nothing else to say but to finance that, because that's what is currently the norm. Same with the president. You'll fly with the president to his private engagements, whether he goes on holiday, whether he's at a political engagement, whether he's at an official government engagement, he needs protection. He remains a president. You can't divorce it. Wherever he is, you must be there all the time. So when he then speaks, like in this case, he's dressed in the political regalia. He wears a political tie and is accompanied by his comrades, not the leadership of the executive of the province, but the political leadership. But he pronounced things of government, of what this minister is going to do, and that minister, and that minister, and that minister. So legally, if we're to ask me whether is that right or not right, I cannot answer, because he remains a president. Whether he's sleeping, he remains a president. Whether he's in a rally of a political party, he remains a president. We have a duty and a responsibility to protect. We have a duty and responsibility to act on what he tells us. But of course, whatever he communicates, it has to be structured in government. I think that's why after announcing it there in that political setup on the 18th, the ministers meeting on the 21st, he came to this house in Parliament to announce the establishment officially of this interministerial committee. So I think that's where it became official government thing. He might have initiated it from the political side, but he made it official when he came here. And it became a formal structure. Maybe if we continued with that pronouncement and never came here, we will still be asking ourselves question whether was what we're doing a political decision or a government decision. But because it was confirmed in the House when the president addressed the Parliament, we take it that it was an official government position.
Now, the PKTT then gets established, you are involved, Khumalo is involved, you are running the thing. You are in charge of this team. And one morning you wake up to hear that dockets are in Pretoria of something that is your baby. What happened there? Did your own team got so compromised that when they were told to bring the dockets, they could not give you a hint that someone is calling for dockets in Pretoria? Because the way you're explaining the relationship and the engagement you had with this PKTT, it's in such a way that it's so intimate that no one can just come and say to them, do this, and then they don't bounce it back with you before they act. What really happened there? Was PKTT infiltrated and compromised, and an underground operation took place and took the dockets to Pretoria without your knowledge?
Honourable Member, I'll invite you, perhaps, if it does happen, that General Khumalo arrives here and appears before this ad hoc committee to be able to explain, because he's the one that gave the instruction to the members to bring the dockets to Pretoria. I said yesterday, and I'm saying again, I was not very pleased with him, because when all that happened, he had not told me about what was happening. So when I was engaging with him, as I was confronting him, he said, you know what, there's just too much politics. I've been complaining about SBIA ever since to the National Commissioner, but whatever I say doesn't matter, it seems like it. And the SBIA continue doing what it's doing. While this side is having the crime intelligence that he's trying to deal with, and he's having challenges there, and he's seeking assistance from the head office, from the national office, and he's not getting the assistance. So it's a man who started getting frustrated. And I think when this thing came to him, he just felt, maybe let me just get rid of this, because the National Commission maybe is not assisting and stopping it. Let me push it aside and focus on my things. And that's why he omitted to then make me away. He simply gave instruction to a colonel. He said, Colonel, go and fetch the dockets that are investigation, bring them here, as per this letter. So that colonel told the ones in Durban, they said, bring these dockets, and the dockets were transported. That's how the dockets ended up in Pretoria. When I became aware is when they wanted to bring these dockets back. That's when I asked him, because when I heard about it, I wrote him a letter. I said, I'm told these dockets are in Pretoria. How did it happen? That's when they responded to say they were moved in this fashion.
I understand that, General, about Khumalo, but your members, the individual members who are in the PKTT, who've got this high credibility and are executing the task expected as their commander, as someone that you work with, apart from whether Colonel called them or Khumalo, why didn't one of them communicate with you? Because this is, I'm trying to establish this effective machinery that you are saying. This is the most effective machinery we have at SAPS. Why is not the senior ranks, these investigators, these people who are dealing with the actual issues, why are they not giving you that information that General Khumalo or whoever said we must bring the dockets to Pretoria? Only to hear after. I mean, you gave a very good example that someone comes into your house, he takes your things and then he goes away with them and says, when I was at your house, I took 1, 2, 3, 4. No one can do that at my house. It will never happen. That you come into my house and take something and I don't know about it. So what really happened to these members who are so loyal and so active and so disciplined that they can't tell their commander, only to be embarrassed that his dockets are in Pretoria?
Yeah, honorable members, the command and control, when it's effective, such then happens. Because our structure and our working arrangement was that the members that are doing the job, they understand and they know their commanders. They don't bypass that process. The center was holding. So at the center of this operation was General Khumalo. So when I was getting briefing, Khumalo and the leaders of certain groups will come and brief me about the work they do. I will not engage with the individual member directly. So I was always engaging them in a formal structure all the time when I'm engaging with them. So the problem started in January, as I said. I also learned from General Khumalo that the members are not happy. So when I asked him, what do you mean the members are not happy? He said, because they were supposed to get awards during the Excellence Awards and their names have been removed. They're told they're no longer going to be recognized with anything. That's when I went to meet with the members myself. Because when he phoned me, he told me that the members are not happy. So I went to meet with them. For the first time, I had a one-on-one with them. And I asked him, they said, Gerald, we are disappointed. I still said to them, I'm going to give my allocation of one table of 10 people. Come as my guest. Come and sit there. They said, no, we appreciate Gerald, but it's better we don't come. So that was the first time where I had a one-on-one engagement where I got to feel the pain in their eyes. This is January, long before the letter is written. The dockets are taken. I started feeling the pain in their faces in January. Fast forward, the same January or February, there's this instruction of the reduction of the workforce of this team. At that time, I conclude that it is because of the budgetary constraint. That because the budget approval has been reduced, we can therefore not have this total workforce that we had. I accepted that. We are running towards the end of the financial year, reprioritization that must happen. So I did not challenge it. But then the financial year starts in April. Obviously, the budget might not be allocated almost immediately. But again, the team that is authorized to continue the work as a new submission is made in April 2024, it still speaks about the reduced number of deployments. So I concluded that it means the challenge is the budget. That's why the reduced number. So knowing the challenges we have, financial challenges we have as an organization, as a country as a whole, I couldn't challenge that much. I said, okay, well, we'll do with the less number of members maybe going forward. But when this communication of DOC has been taken up to Pretoria came, I then realized, but these problems started back then, the letter, the members not getting rewards, and the members are starting to question themselves from January about the work they are doing, whether they're upsetting the executive and why the executive is treating them like this, up until the period when these dockets in March are taken up to Pretoria. So it's already a couple of months back, and that's why the members, I think, they became numb to complain about anything, and they didn't say anything. They just kept quiet.
So when they arrive in Pretoria, these dockets, they are put under Sibia.
SBIA is in charge of both crime intelligence and detective. It is my understanding that SBIA wrote to the Divisional Commission of Crime of Detectives, General Sentumole, to take these dockets from crime intelligence. So I don't see on the directive where did he want these dockets to go to. But it's my understanding that the docket were kept at the office of a brigadier under General Sentumule's office. Of course, General SBIA remains the boss overall. So meaning he has access to those dockets in one way or another.
Of the 121, there were 5 dockets which had clear instructions of arrest.
That's correct.
What happened to those dockets? Are they, have you arrested people since the dockets are back? Have you arrested people? How far are these cases? And if they still remain unresolved, what is the issue?
We are still looking for the other suspect, but 2 of the suspects have been arrested on those dockets, and one of the suspects unfortunately died. I think he was already identified, but he died, so he couldn't be charged. It's no more. But the others, we are still looking for them.
General, what do you mean the minister you met at Mbangeni and the minister you met in this letter are not the same people?
They're totally different people.
Why?
I asked myself the same question, I don't remember, because when I approached the chief of staff, when I called him on the 2nd of January after learning of the letter, after seeing the letter, it was my understanding that the relationship between me and him will allow for him to secure the meeting with the minister, as he did before the minister came into the police. He was able to say, oh, you are the provincial commissioner, I know the minister, so that he get to know you since you are policing his environment. He doesn't live here, he works at Department of Water Affairs. So come and meet him. So we met. It was a meeting, one of the elders and one of the senior government leaders in the province. It was not a problem because we just did that unofficially. So when it's time for us to talk business, I expected the minister is going to open his arms and said, I know you already through Nkabinde come, but that never happened. And that's where I started wondering what could be the reason behind it. But when he's in front of me, he smiles all the time. But this, what I'm asking for, is not happening.
Now, if you say the minister did not write a letter, and this is not the same person I see who smiles all the time when we meet, and the one that I see in the letter, 2 different people, will that be an excuse that someone gave a minister a letter and the minister signed? Because he doesn't dispute that is his signature. Once he signs, that is his letter. And we can't say minister didn't know, someone misled the minister, because I don't understand which angle are you trying to take there. The minister signed a letter. Even if he said, I didn't read the letter, I just signed it. It is his signature. It means he didn't do his own duties by making sure that he reads through the documents before he signs them. Is there any excuse why shouldn't we hold this letter against the minister himself as his own letter?
Well, it is the minister's letter. When I registered a complaint, a criminal complaint, minister is one of the suspects that I'm pursuing in that complaint I have, because he's the author of this chaos.
How far is that case?
The chaos. This is a real chaos.
Yeah. Now, how far is that case you complained about this?
It's still an investigation. I'm not part of it because I rely on the prosecution in KZN and the team investigating to brief me from time to time. But the progress they shared with me 2 weeks ago, was quite pleased with the progress that they're making. The minister owns the letter. He signs it. It's his letter. However, if we're to fix the problem, it is my belief that we must go beyond the minister's ownership of the letter. With his signature, it's his letter. That's given. But we need to find out what led into him writing such a letter. When I speak to the chief of staff and he said the letter has been going back and forth, it is against that background that made me to believe that someone crafted the letter for the minister to sign.